This is Maria Patrizia reading from the essays of Anna von Reitz of Big Lake, Alaska, and starting with some of the basics. And I think this is an excellent article for people to get their minds around the topic of how we've been defrauded of our own identities, basically by the governments that run as the states and as the United States of America. The first sin essay is an update on state non-assumptive actions by Anna von Reitz. Most people don't read the Bible. They need to if they want to know what's going on in the world. It is indeed a strange concept that we need to read a book that is derived from ancient history to keep current with today. But as with much else concerning this particular book, it's true. Those who read the Bible know that Adam was tasked to be caretaker of the earth and granted dominion over the earth, and he was also tasked to name the animals and the trees and the other things that he interacted with on earth. However, he was never given the task of naming himself or other men. That task is reserved to our Father. Much later in the Bible, in fact, we are promised that he will give us our true names. As a result, whatever names we are given are not true names and are not part of Adam's job to give. The practice of applying names to men is the first sin. We may well ask, how are we supposed to talk about anything pertaining to men or make reference to anyone without giving them a name? For many generations, we have used descriptions that appear to be names to a greater or lesser extent, and so names typically have additional meanings which create descriptions that are included on a sub rosa basis. Names like Anne of Green Gables and Geoffrey of Malmesbury are apparent descriptions, but a name like Anna, which means mother, and Grace also holds descriptive meaning. That is all because we are not supposed to name each other, but in practice we do, and that is the first sin. That it is a sin becomes very clear when you examine the process that has led to our current distress. When we create persons and name them, men become identified as things, and as things they lose their sanctity and dominion, and take on the inert and alien characteristics of, say, rocks. A man is a man, but a person is a thing, and all the profound differences that exist between men and things apply. It is a crime to murder a man, but there's no law against murdering a thing. When you deliberately apply the names of living men to persons as a means of deceiving them and harming them without being held accountable, a crime of personage occurs. Personage is the act of reducing a man to a thing via a manipulation of his given name, or by changing the agreed upon usage of his name to facilitate such a change. For example, personage occurs when the function of your trade name in the form of, say, John Mark Doe, which you use for international trade, is arbitrarily redefined as the name of a foreign situs trust operating in international commerce. This is the kind of personage the FDR administration committed against our grandparents. It arbitrarily removed their names from the jurisdiction of the land and exposed them to piracy and the loss of their material rights and interests, including their constitutional guarantees. This was all done without telling them. This change was made by the territorial United States and could actually only apply to their citizens. However, since nobody in the actual United States was fully informed, a process of assumption kicked in. People just continued to use their own familiar trade name, as they always had, and in the process they became misidentified government employees operating foreign situs trusts belonging to the United States of America, Incorporated. Another form of personage occurs when the style of the name is changed to conform with such a change in function. Having redefined the use and meaning of our trade names on the land to serve as the names of foreign situs trusts on the sea, the perpetrators next created so-called municipal franchises and messed with our names again to create Cesta KV trusts named after us, in all capital letters, John Mark Doe, for example. Most recently, the municipal United States has floated a whole new scam and arbitrarily defined names in the form of John M. Doe, all capital letters, to be the names of U.S. public transmitting utilities. Well, that may be what Mr. Obama thinks they are. I say it's just more fraud and more personage by our public servants deliberately being used to defraud and foist off foreign debt on us via a process of unwitting assumption. The state of state organizations in Alaska, Maine, Washington, Michigan, Illinois, Texas, and Utah have received notice of non-assumpsit published in the local newspapers. These 6 actual states and their people have told Washington, D.C. and the world at large, that there is a fraud scheme in play and we don't agree with it. We don't assume any debts related to all the names in the form of, all capital letters, John M. Doe. What about the rest of you people and states? Are you going to stand around like dumb posts and let the territorial United States claim that you are one of their citizens and subject to their, quote, law, as if you were born in Puerto Rico? Are you going to assume their debts knowing that they're already bankrupt? Get those notices of non-assumpsit published so the territorial United States can't come back and say, hey, these people in their states assume this debt, so it's theirs to pay. This is your time to object and put it on the record. Now, it's possible that what has been done by these states that have published their objections already could be brokered into a claim that all states are owed equal footing. But do you really want to leave your state on the list of states that they can say acquiesced by being silent? With a $20 trillion debt in the air, I'm looking for a place to land. See this article and over 500 others on Anna's website at annavonreitz.com. To support this work, look for the PayPal button on this website, spelled ANNAVONREITZ.com. Reading from annavonreitz.com, Holy Crap Corporations, number 341. Yesterday I had the odd pleasure and distinction of finally knowing what the all caps names convention used in court cases is all about. What it is, how it works, how it is misused by unscrupulous courts and lawyers. All of it finally came out of the closet. We know that what appear to be names simply written in all capital letters like all capital David Michael Doe are actually not names but signs written in a debased form of ancient Latin called Dog Latin or Glossa or American Sign Language. We know that these signs, which appear to be names, are actually accounts belonging to the Vatican. These accounts are held as split titles to incorporated entities with the Holy See holding equitable title in behalf of the devil and the legal title left hanging in the wind available for anyone to claim. So when you see this thing that appears to be your name on a letter addressed to your mailing address, you naturally assume that it is yours when in fact it should be addressed to the miscreant Holy See. After all, they are getting the benefit of the account and expecting you to do all the work related to it, including coming up with the funds to pay the bill for their account, all capital letters. They should be the ones sitting in the docket with their checkbooks ready. This then, and your ignorant willingness to be identified as the party responsible for this thing, in all capital letters and in quotations, is at the heart of what is going on in these fake courts. It's all deliberate fraud designed to give an appearance of justice while practicing but not actually executing either law or justice. All these attorneys are functioning as the pontiff's bill collectors and, all capital letter, account managers, just like the IRS is functioning in this modern day Inquisition, still collecting Peter's pence and your confession every April 15th. How does it feel to be managed by crooks and to have the Roman Catholic Church fronting for all this? Don't tell me the popes, both Benedict XVI and Francis, don't know the ins and outs of this scheme. They would have to know. It's been going on since 1250 AD. They've been on notice and demand for 8 years to correct operations directly related to this central fraud, these Vatican accounts. So far as I can see, Benedict acted in good faith to correct the situation, but the most constructive action Francis has taken to stop this criminality, his first apostolic letter, has merely been a defensive action to cover their own butts. Now the whole crapwad has been discovered, and the closet door has burst open, and it's all rolling out like a brown wave down the Palatine Hills. It's the Roman cult embedded like a tumor in the church that has caused all this misery and graft and oppression of humanity, plus Loyola's perverse dream of creating God's kingdom on earth by force of arms. Apparently, Loyola never observed the fact that God gave each of us free will for a reason. Oh, I am tired, folks, and world-weary. I've grown old contesting this beast, shadowboxing it, tracking it, negotiating with it, hearing its vain confessions. It's time for everyone to wake up, especially the archbishops and the Jesuits. The actual beneficiaries of the Vatican accounts are here and seeking settlement. On Reitz.com, number 511, our mission is to restore the lawful government that is owed to us, by Anna von Reitz. Our lawful government, sometimes called the de jure government, is called the United States of America. The United States of America has been undermined from within by a commercial corporation calling itself the United States, which is under contract to our states to provide essential government services. See the Definitive Treaty of Peace, Paris, 1783, in Article 4. The United States is controlled by the Pope and the British monarch and operated by a board of trustees calling itself the United States Congress. The United States went rogue during and after the so-called American Civil War and just neglected to tell anyone. Ever since, the United States has been in one kind of war after another: the war on poverty, the war on drugs, and the war on terrorism, as well as endless nasty political and police actions for profit. Yet the Civil War wasn't really a war at all. It was an illegal commercial mercenary action carried out on our shores. It was never declared by the Congress. It was never ended by a peace treaty. President Andrew Johnson declared peace in public 3 times and created a contract for peace, but that's not the same thing as a peace treaty. Obviously, the popes and the British monarchs and the people were so trustingly sent to Congress to represent us have failed to do the job. They have acted in breach of trust and commercial contract for 150 years right under our noses. They have used us as muscle to carry on endless wars for profit and illegal police actions throughout the world. They've neglected our country's needs and stolen it blind, while at the same time killing millions of innocent people, and they have blamed us all for it. Now they are targeting the people of China to take our places, the bully boys of the world. They have sent their bankers and lawyers and tons of our gold to China, intending to set up shop again and pull the same old crap over there. We've been stupid, folks, for a very long time. None of us remember a legitimate and fully functioning American government. All we know is the slow parasitic rot imposed on us by the British monarchs and the Pope and the politicians in control of the United States. It's no wonder that millions of Americans detest what they think of as their government. But what everyone worldwide needs to understand is that that thing in Washington, D.C. isn't our government. The United States Incorporated is a foreign corporation in the business of providing governmental services, hence the reason it is called the de facto government. It is really just an adjunct to our lawful government, like a catering service or housekeeping service that our ancestors subscribed to. Given all this, it is apparent that America has been tragically deceived and defrauded and off track for a very long time. People around the world have grown to hate Americans, and we have been blamed for the actions of the United States, which is nothing but a gigantic, multinational commercial corporation gone wild. It should surprise no one that the United States has used crooked bookkeeping to embezzle trillions of dollars out of our economy, and then on top of it has claimed that we didn't pay them and that they are trillions of dollars in debt and are seeking bankruptcy protection because of it. This is the complete and utter mess that Donald J. Trump has inherited, and it is all directly attributable to the popes, the British monarchs, the treasonous members of Congress, and the puppet presidents who have run this country into the ground and worked to enslave the American people for the last 150 years. The frog is now well and truly boiled, but still alive, and the frog is angry. That's understood. It is painful and scary to wake up and realize that the men and institutions you placed your faith in all your life have grossly betrayed you. Bear in mind that the men and institutions guilty of these horrific crimes against us and against the entire rest of the world have no friends left. They are trapped with the Americans on one side and the rest of the world on the other. The British people have been just as shamelessly abused as we have, quite possibly more. From both within and without, then these hateful monsters have carried out their war against mankind and have used the churches and what appeared to be lawful governments as storefronts for their parasitic activities. At the end of the day, who is responsible? As a short list, the popes, the British monarch, and the Lord Mayors of London, the Lords of the Admiralty, the British Parliament, the U.S. Congress, the government corporations of the European nations, Japan, China, Australia, are all in the frying pan. The entire earth is overdue for a political house cleaning, and Donald J. Trump has landed himself in one hell of a position to be in. We Americans, like the rest of the world, have every reason to despise the renegade United States. We have every reason to rise up and murder the members of Congress and desecrate Washington, D.C. Yes, every reason to raze it to the ground and piss on the graves of those who would defend it. We have cause to do that, but we would be supremely stupid to do that. Indeed, we need to keep calm and get even. The entire world now knows what has gone on here. They know who the guilty parties are. They are looking to us for leadership, to find the way forward, and they won't be disappointed. We've looked back to our roots to find ourselves again, all across the country. County and state general assemblies are gathering. Day by day, Americans are waking up and returning the false gift of U.S. persons that have been foisted off on us. Those who have defrauded and abused us are being recognized as international criminals. Their foreign, duplicitous, satanic religion is being recognized for what it is, a reprise of ancient Babylon brought forward like a cancer concealed in the Roman Catholic Church. Even the members of the U.S. Congress are beginning to wake up. Trey Gowdy and Rand Paul aren't the only ones speaking our language anymore. Quietly, with great resolve, America, the real America, is on the move. Our goal isn't to destroy the United States, but to take back our rightful control of it and get to the bottom of the criminality infesting it. As we go, we are learning our own history and filling the vacated offices that our lawful government is owed. We're going to completely restore our lawful common law court system, which is owed to the people of this country. We're going to sort out the crooked government bookkeeping and dispose of the national debt. We're going to bust the foreign media cartels. We are going to secure our borders, mind our businesses, and let the chips fall as they may. In the midst of this humongous endeavor, it is imperative for everyone to stay grounded and think things through. None of this is rocket science, but it took 150 years for the situation to develop. We can expect the cleanup to last more than a decade. Meantime, the sky is not falling. We are not broke. We have the power to change things peacefully using due process and our own public law. What could go wrong? We could trust the wrong people again. That is the chief danger we face. There are among us paid provocateurs and an equally common breed of opportunists eager to seize power for power's sake. These bad actors always show their colors eventually, so pay close attention to both words and deeds. We now have among us men who are preaching a false gospel. They are saying, hey, we are the people. We can do anything we want. The same thing can be said of any gang of outlaws until the rest of us catch up with them. Men who have been oppressed by a commercial corporation masquerading as their own government have a right to be angry, but our power and our just cause lies in restoring our rightful and lawful government, complete with its system of checks and balances intact, so that nobody and nothing can oppress any of us again. Otherwise, we merely jump from one oppression to another. Our very greatest danger is that some demagogue like Hitler will arise from our delusionment and discontent, and like the Pied Piper lead the world down the road to senseless war again. We've heard that tune and followed it too many times before. The greatness of America does not lie in our force of arms, but in our generosity of heart. Our future does not lie in the mind of any one man, but in the hopes and dreams of us all. I have done my level best to clue you in and teach you right from wrong. I have been a faithful guide and defender of the innocent, a proponent of peaceful and orderly and lawful change. God willing, I will be here a while longer to help guide the work, but in the meantime, it is imperative for every American to study their own history, learn the structure of their own government, and stop being gullible. Turn your Shinola sensors on high. And like the song says, don't get fooled again. See this article and over 500 others on Anna's website at annavonreitz.com. Support her work, hit the PayPal button, and give generously.